There's not much else to cover from the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon teaser that we got from the Pokemon Direct yesterday. I mean, you could try to break down the trailer, but it seems like there's not really much else. Like, is this Togedemaru a part of a special gym feature? Is it a new Z move? Or is it just a Totem Pokemon? And Totem Pokemon will make a strong return in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Same goes for Mimikyu. This seems like you're being actively attacked, which just seems like a really fancy way of portraying a Totem Pokemon. Lycanroc might spice this up a bit, because maybe it has a special kind of day form that activates in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, kind of just adding some questions like, are we going to have Ultra Pokemon, fusions? Is this just fancy Totem? Are we really only getting some like graphic and cutscene updates? Who really knows? However, I went on to Twitter and I asked a question, do you guys want some more Pokemon Sun and Moon videos for today? And an overwhelming amount of people said yes. It seems like, for the most part, the Pokemon community is negative and makes a lot of jokes about people that just, like, mine news and information to death and then overhype it and kind of kill a lot of the magic about the game. But it seems like Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, people want more from this, and I was honestly surprised. I thought it was gonna be like 30% of people saying sure, and then I'll just come up with another video for today, but no, you guys want the hype. So let's break down the only other thing there is to break down from the trailers, and that's Solgaleo and Lunala's new forms. Now, we can already obviously tell that that is going to have something to do with Necrozma, but that's kind of it. We have some official art, we have a couple of seconds from the little teaser trailer, and we don't really know what else to say, but we can make some, like, relations to this already, that this seems almost exactly like Pokemon Black and White 2. Junichi Masuda has confirmed that this is an alternate timeline, so not quite like a 2-year skip, but it seems like something else is going on here, and then we have two versions for a sequel version, and then it has to deal with some kind of Pokemon fusion, or at least aspects of other Pokemon with aspects of existing Pokemon, specifically the legendaries, and then the third big legendary that didn't really get too much of a feature in the original games. Sounds like Pokemon Black and White 2 quite a bit, so let's see if we can draw any correlations or conclusions from that. Now, the DNA Splicer is what is used to create the Kyurem forms that we see in Pokemon Black and White 2. Now, the DNA Splicers are available in Pokemon Sun and Moon versions, but you can't really use them on Necrozma, Solgaleo, or Lunala. There's no effect whatsoever, but we do have Colress. Now, Colress, as the assumed boss of Team Plasma in the Black and White 2 storyline, and also the scientist behind using Kyurem's power to freeze up Lucid City, that way they could steal the DNA Splicers, and then Getsus kind of did the whole storyline thing, and that's how we ended up with the fused forms for Kyurem Black and Kyurem White. So it does seem like Colress does have experience with Pokemon Fusion, but that's the only time we've seen it in the franchise, and it's not like Colress is going to be in the Alola Region. Okay, so now that's everything. That is everything right there. At first, it was kind of hard to make out what Colress is doing in Pokemon Sun and Moon. We run into him, we get a TM for Flame Charge, and then we also get some plates for the drives for Genesect, and then we don't think much else of it. It's kind of like a surprise, like, yo, what's this bad guy doing in the Alola region? But Colress does have like a really friendly face, you know, he does kind of put on this friendly tone about him, and then when things get serious, that's where he kind of turns around and goes for the plans and science over anything else. But he does have a really nice demeanor in Pokemon Sun and Moon, so maybe he's reformed, is the thought coming off of Pokemon Black and White 2. You know, after all that kind of fell apart, Colress did realize his mistakes and that he was more being puppeted by Getsus, and you know, he had just other ideas for the world and just wants to pursue science and the bonds of Pokemon. Now, pursuing the bonds with Pokemon, that sounds like a good guy thing, and it gets a little crazier as we see his dialogue, because there's not really much else to go off of the dialogue as well with just the information that we have in Pokemon Sun and Moon. He says, "Excuse me, I'm a scientist. My name is Colress. My theme of research is to bring out the potential of Pokemon." And he talks about the Z-Ring as well as Mega Rings and Mega Evolution, because there's a lot of ways of activating the power of Pokemon, but he says that the bond shared with their trainers is the best way of bringing out the power in their Pokemon, and he says Z-Power. Is that the true potential I seek? Does it surpass the Mega Ring? So it looks like he's been looking to Mega Evolution, he's been looking to all of these other powers and unlocking the Pokemon, but the Z-Ring, Z-moves, Z-crystals, that might be the new power. So that's where he just kind of leaves it right there, and we don't really have much else to go. Oh, damn it. Okay, so there's another part from the trailer as well, where we see our trainer, he twists the Z-ring this time. But that's it. It's a new Z-Ring, as we have Colress running around Pokemon Sun and Moon in an alternate timeline talking about unlocking the power of Pokemon, and this seems like a more powerful transformation. It seems like more power is going on in some way with this. It's not just your, you know, use a Z move, do a dance kind of thing. This is an absurd amount of just like energy flowing out of the Z-Ring and the Z bracelet that we see in this quick little trailer. Now, the question is, does this have something to do with Pokemon Fusion? Does the twisting motion, or does, like, this black Z bracelet that we have right now, does this symbolize, you twist it, and that unlocks the power of the Pokemon through fusion? Then when we see this bright twisting animation, is that also maybe the potential for Ultra evolution? Because it's called Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And there's Ultra Beast, and there's like all these other Ultra things that are going on inside the Pokemon world. And we already had Mega Evolution introduced. I mean, what kind of craziness is Game Freak trying to throw at us right now? Because, alright, Z moves, that's kind of crazy. Mega Evolution, that's kind of crazy. But that's new generation stuff. Not just, by the way, we're throwing in a second game, we're doing like a sequel version, and now we're just throwing in new game mechanics. So is Ultra Evolution a possibility? It seems feasible. While crazy, I'm not here to be like Ultra Evolution confirmed or anything, but it seems feasible in its own ways when you think about it, because how are you going to introduce Mega Evolution for 7th generation Pokemon when that was a 6th generation thing, and it seems like, Mega Evolution has kind of been shelved a bit. However, adding more mechanics to Pokemon might really complicate things, but what if like an Ultra Evolution or an Ultra form of a Pokemon is like the Mega Evolved Pokemon for the 7th generation using the powers of the Alola Region, Ultra Beast, or something like that? Maybe it's only exclusive Solgaleo and Lunala, maybe it is a fusion. These are the questions that we're looking into, but there's still a lot going on. And then we can look at the Japanese logo for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because that actually has a lot of significance as well, because in that logo, we see, one, a fused hybrid kind of logo. Now, this is in the American and all the other Ultra Sun and Moon logos. That's something else to look at, is that the logo has the star from Necrozma kind of spinning into whatever logo we're looking at for Pokemon Sun or Moon versions. But then the Japanese version, there's this triangle that has a rainbow prism inside of it. Now, we know that prisms are kind of Necrozma's thing, but we see this as a part of Necrozma when fused or formed or whatever with Solgaleo and Lunala. Like, I'm feeling like this could be just a full-on fusion like Black and White 2, or maybe Game Freak is just trying to throw us through a loop. That we do have the Prism Armor ability from Necrozma, so maybe it's like an Ultra Armor, and that's like an Ultra form. This is why I'm thinking like Ultra forms or Ultra Evolution might be a thing in a way. That, there's an Ultra Armor on Solgaleo and Lunala. They did go through the Ultra Wormhole. They do have alternate forms. They have like the Radiant Sun and Lunala's Moon phase that we don't really see anywhere else in the game. So maybe that power allows them to synergize the power with Necrozma and then gain the Prism Armor. But that's very significant because we see it on the Pokemon, and also when we look at all of the other Japanese titles of recently, they have something to do with one of the main features in the game. That, as we can see on Pokemon X and Y version, that's the Mega Stone, that's the Mega Symbol. Though with Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we have the Primal Reversion in the title for the Japanese logo, and then Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, this is what blew everyone's mind, because we were looking through, we're like, wait a second, Mega Evolution's in X and Y, we have the Primal Reversion in Sun and Moon, so why is there just a random diamond-shaped crystal in the Pokemon Sun and Moon logo? Now, we were trying to figure this one out for about a month, maybe a couple more months on top of that, and then we learned about Z moves and Z crystals, so that's actually very significant, which means there's still an insane amount of significance with everything about the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon logo, and once we get the information, it'll still be that same moment like, oh, I get it, that's what that means. But I mean, that's where we start looking right now, that maybe this is like some kind of spiraling fusion power that we get with Necrozma, and then the triangle symbol, this radiance, this prism, has a lot of significance to maybe more than just Solgaleo and Lunala, because you can go and look at Necrozma, it has these colors, it has these crazy geometric shapes, and those do have the symbolism from what we see in the trailer, and then that's kind of it. I looked into Lycanroc in the last video, seeing if maybe there's like an Ultra form or an Ultra Evolution potential, because Lycanroc seems a bit different. It's directly jumping into the sun. It does have that little bit of gleaming come off of it. Like, what if that is some kind of like sun-based power for an Ultra Evolution trigger, an Ultra form trigger? And that would make a lot of sense with Lycanroc, since they were a little bit underwhelming, even though the Pokemon Company massively promoted Rockruff and Lycanroc's forms. So giving them an evolution or some kind of extra form could work out in the other way. And a lot of people have also speculated, like, what about Primal Reversion for other legendaries? What about all these other forms for existing Pokemon? So maybe we might see that expanded upon with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon versions. It's just kind of weird. But yeah, the Ultra stuff kind of gets crazy. And what about Ultra Beast? We still have Ultra Beast to worry about. We have the Ultra Dimension. We have the Ultra Wormhole. This is an alternate timeline. So how are those events going to take place? What does Colress have to do with the Aether Foundation? How's the Aether Foundation going to play in this role. Like, the Aether Foundation, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of power, we can see that they've done some crazy stuff, so how does this, like, what does this work out with the Necrozma? That maybe they see the power in Necrozma and its relation to the Ultra Beast, that Necrozma stats are only prime numbers, just like Ultra Beast as well. And that could be something. Ultra Power. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Maybe there's an Ultra Power throughout the Alola region. Maybe that this is from the Ultra Wormholes. Maybe that this is Necrozma's power. That's Prism lasers and all of its light refracting power. That's actually some kind of Ultra Transformative power. And if the Aether Foundation or Colress, they can harness that power, fuse it with the Z Crystal energy, use the bonds of Pokemon, then they can unleash this Ultra Transformation inside of Pokemon. I already talked about the Prism Armor, but it is something to keep on the back of the mind. You know, maybe it's not Ultra Beast, maybe it's not Ultra Power, maybe it's not Ultra Evolution, it's just Prism Armor. You know, it's the armor on these Pokemon, and it has some significance because Necrozma is a legendary, and instead of just like, you know, what they did with the 4th generation, slapping Giratina on the box, instead of just slapping Necrozma on the box, you slap its armor onto the legendaries, and then fusions. I mean, is Game Freak going to take the obvious route? They kind of they kind of did some craziness, you know, Pokemon Sun and Moon, an Ultra version of that, still showing off the original legendaries. Colress is involved, so Fusion is definitely not off the table. Are they trying to make us like, hey, remember Colress? Well, now he's got some, like, significance in this alternate timeline and all this other craziness going on. Is there other fusion capabilities? Is it just legendaries? Because what I like about Ultra Power and, like, Ultra forms of Pokemon is that's going to work for more Pokemon. If we have Ultra 7th generation, insert 7th generation Pokemon here, and there's an extra power on top of Z Crystals, that's going to have a lot more gameplay. That's going to have a lot more mechanics behind it. Maybe a complicating amount of it, but we know if it's just Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma, then that's going to be like one little late game storyline arc, and then we just have Pokemon Sun and Moon version, and there's not much else crazy about it. Maybe more Ultra Beasts are going to be involved, who knows, but that's kind of what we have right now, so there we go. No other information can come out of the Pokemon trailer, I am sure of that, but we have Korokoro, we have E3, let's get back to normal Pokemon content for like the weekend, and then we'll see where we go from there. But there we go, guys. I was able to make it all come together this one last time for the trailer. Help you guys out from the hype off that Twitter poll, and there we go. So, guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.